Hello YouTube. This week I've got the keys to a 2019 BMW 430i GranCoupe. Let's take a look. So here we have, I believe it's my first 2019 of the year. This is a BMW GranCoupe. It's a 430i. It's got xDrive. It's a nice looking car. It's kind of funny because the 4 Series, I believe, is now kind of reserved for 2-door cars. And this is a 4-door car. So if you're confused about BMW numbering like I am, this isn't going to help at all. And of course it is called a GranCoupe, but it's 4 doors, not 2, which is generally what a coupe is. So that's a little bit odd as well. But that's because of the slope back and the hatchback design. So this one here is around $62,000 Canadian. Starts at about 53 or 54, I believe. And this one's got, and I think it's the executive package, which adds a ton of stuff to it. So it's also got xDrive, so all-wheel drive. And I'll pop this up here, and you'll see automatic trunk. And I'll give you the view from the side again, so that's why it's called the coupe, I guess, the GranCoupe, because it's got, you know, that slope back and the hatchback design. I do like the hatchback. It's nice. It gives you a ton of room in here, and it's got this cargo cover, so it hides your stuff. So it looks like a trunk from the outside to those that do not know. It's pretty wide right at the front here, and then it kind of narrows quite a bit. I noticed it was quite small there, but there's a ton of space there. And another and more space, like down here you've got a ton of space, so it's pretty convenient. And the seats fold as well. This comes off, so you can take that off, and then you've got full reign over those seats too, right? So I gotta get the button here. There we go. Get the button, and you'll see here you got a fold down seat, so you've got a ton of space in this thing. And so, you know, if you're looking for a kind of a sporty but convenient hatchback that doesn't look like a hatchback, this is kind of in your ballpark, I guess, or in your shopping. It should be in your shopping range, because this is pretty nice. It's pretty, I would say, rare to have something like this. The Kia Stinger is kind of like this. Let's drop that down. Let's go take a seat in the back. Now, this isn't very large, as you can see. This is in my seating position. It's a little tight back here. Headroom is okay. I guess it's not that great. I just kind of fit, and I'm only like 5'8", so this does, you know, it is a little bit tight. It does has heated seats in the back, and it's got a 12-volt plug back here. And that's about all it has, really. It's kind of somewhat basic back here. It does have an armrest with some cup holders in it, so you've got that. It's not really, this is not the type of car that you're carrying a family in typically. This is kind of, you know, this is your 2-person car, really, but there's convenience for picking up stuff. So it does have a sunroof. It's not big panoramic or anything, but it does have a normal sunroof. And it's got your typical, you know, if you've looked at any BMWs lately, they're pretty much all following this theme from, you know, the 1 Series all the way up to the 7 Series. Of course, it looks a lot nicer in the 7 Series, but this is kind of the design theme that they're going with. And you've got kind of your tablet on the top there, and then your air conditioning in kind of the middle. This really hasn't changed much with BMW's design. They just kind of keep tweaking it over every couple of years, but it's been kind of this similar design for quite a while now. So let's hop up front and take a closer look at it. Before I hop in the seat here, I'm just going to show you, this does have the M badges on it, and M dead pedal over here, which is nice. It's got this manual leg support here, which extends. So if you're a little bit taller and you need some more leg support, that pulls out, and you can set it halfway on all the way kind of thing. It does have 2-position memory seat on the side here. So hop on in. This digital dash here is pretty nice, and it can be configured depending on different modes that you're in. So we've got mode buttons down here, and you got sport and eco, and it kind of cycles between them. So I'll just start it up. It comes to life. You get a bunch of lights and some binging. And because my seatbelt's on, it's going to complain for a bit. There we go. So we can switch to sport mode, and you'll see this kind of turns red. And then you can go to Sport Plus mode as well, which will turn off your dynamic traction control, or dynamic traction control activated. So dynamic traction control is like kind of sporty traction control. It gives you a little bit of leeway to play around. It doesn't turn it off completely, even though it says off up the top here. But it gives you more leeway than if it's on, your traction control's on. So you've got comfort setting, which is the default that it starts with when you start the car every time. And then you've got Eco Pro, which goes blue and actually removes the tach and changes it to this charge and power system. So it kind of gives you, driving tips and that for economy. So I've been averaging, well, it just bumped up to 8.1 liters per 100 kilometers now because we're sitting here idling. But it was at 8, and that's pretty darn good. So it's a 4-cylinder turbo, 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo, 248 horsepower, 258 pound-feet of torque, so it's pretty torquey. It's got an 8-speed automatic transmission, and it drives really nice. I've actually been really impressed. I mean, I'm always, BMWs always drive nice, but this one here I found has really, really got a smooth ride. It's not too rough. Typically, I find a lot of BMWs have a very stiff ride, as much as they're trying, they've been kind of moving to a softer ride, and people have been complaining. I think most of the buyers are looking for a softer ride anyways, but it still handles great. I took a couple of curves on ramps and that, and I was really surprised at how much grip level it had in there. So it has actually a lot more than I expected. Couple cup holders here, which you can hide. So that's pretty nice. It does have this touch control on the top here. You can write, and you can move this around as well, and that changes all the screens up top, and you can go directly into your nav and that from there. And you can, but the thing is, this is also a touch screen, see, so you can scroll through this here. Don't really feel you need to touch the screen, although it has a nice feel to it. Unlike some screens, kind of plasticky, this one is glass. It feels really nice, kind of like an iPad or a nice phone. It feels really nice. I really like it, but I haven't been using it. I don't want to get fingerprints all over it. I'd rather just use this here down here. If you check out some of my other BMW reviews, I go through the writing on this pad and that. I'm not going to go through that again on here because it's just going to make the video long, and then nobody's going to watch it. What else do we have here? So we have the typical BMW shifter now, which is interesting in that, reverse is up and drive is back, and then you hit it over to manual mode, and then you can use the paddles, or you can use this up and down here as well. If you leave it in drive and then you just open the door, so we'll just open the door and let go of the brake. It's not doing it this time. There we go. And you move enough, I guess, it goes into park. And if you get out of the car and then you get back in, I think it's got to be a few, I don't know, it's not minutes, because I got out, checked my email, and then came back in, and the car was off completely. So it completely shut off on me, and then I had to hit start again. I guess it figures, well, you left the car and you forgot to turn it off. So that's kind of nice. Unless you like moving your car with the door open, then you can't do that. You got a camera button here, which will give you the front view, and you can kind of see your two sides, and then if you put it in reverse, you get your backup camera as well, and you can add in like parking sensors and that. You can turn them on and off somehow. Here we go. So you can add your parking aid lines, so there they are there, and obstacle marking, so I can turn that on. Oops, put it back into reverse here. since it came out of there somehow. There you go. So now we've got the lines on there, and they move when the steering wheel moves and that. So that's a little bit more useful than not having the lines. I like that on there. Put this back into park, and you've got cell phone holder and some USB here. There's actually another USB here I didn't mention. And you got a cell phone holder here. This is I believe this is the $350 option. This is for QI charging, it's from what I understand. But my phone doesn't fit here, so I can't prove that because it's not long enough to fit my phone. And I've got a Galaxy S8 Plus. Yeah, so this is the QI charger. There's the light that goes on, blue light, when you hold it down for a while, but my phone does not fit there. I'm not sure. I mean, mine's an S8 Plus, so let's see. I'll show you what the difference is. I'm missing quite a bit. I tried hooking in this way. There's no way. I'm missing at least half an inch there almost. So yeah, if your phone is this big, it won't fit. What else? Climate control, but not dual zone. But it is dual zone. I'm not sure. I talked to the BMW Genius, and I said, look, well, how come whenever I turn the knob, this one doesn't change? So then I assume there's a sync button, but there's no sync button, so you have to turn this knob. He says, well, you just have to turn both knobs. I'm like, that's really inconvenient when every other car in the world that has dual zone climate control has a sync button. And he says, well, it's not dual zone climate control. So kind of confused me because I see two zones here. It does have this BMW kind of unique thing where you can say, even though I want cold air at my feet, I want hot air at my face. It's not hot air, but it's not freezing air that you get whenever you have it on that setting. If you haven't driven a BMW, that's a little tidbit that you probably don't know about. If you know BMWs, then you'll know about that feature that's been on BMWs for pretty much forever. What else do we have? It's got a whole bunch of features, lane departure, blind spot detection, blah, blah, blah. It just goes on and on and on with the features that you get on this car. Like all the cars today, it's kind of just becoming standard. The other thing I want to mention is the, I believe they call it dynamic cruise control. So cruise control ready, and then you start going, and then you've got dynamic cruise control, and up here it'll show you the distance between the car you're following. So that's basically radar cruise control. And you can't turn it off on this car. So if you get the dynamic cruise control, you're stuck with it. You can't turn it off like a lot of cars where you can hold the button somehow and then turn it off. I looked in the manual, don't see any settings, searched online. Other people complained about it, so that kind of bothers me. I find it annoying on a 4-lane highway because you end up just catching people and the car slowing down, and sometimes people merge in front of you and the car slams on the brakes. Even on the closest setting, it's so far away. It's extremely annoying. I have it on my own car, and for the most part I turn it off. If I'm on a 2-lane road, it's great because you can cruise at 80, 90 kilometers an hour, and you catch somebody, you to kind of just slow up to, kind of catch up to him and keep a distance, and you don't have to worry about if he's all over the place on speed. You just kind of leave it and go, right? That's great. But on the 4-lane highway, pain in the butt. So let's just take it for a little quick drive so you can kind of hear and see what it's like. So I'm just going to kind of pull out here at the stop sign. You'll see the car's pretty quick, 248 horsepower, a lot of torque, 258 pound-feet of torque. Really makes this car move. It's not a light car or anything, but the all-wheel drive, you get going pretty quick. Get on the throttle. Makes a nice noise, and it's got that kind of pop a little bit with the turbo sound. And it pulls, and I really like the tack here. I hope the camera picks it up. The numbers get larger when you're whichever numbers are closer to your tack, so it kind of sweeps with the needle along, which is really cool. It's got a lot of torque down low, so it cruises at a really low RPM, which makes it super quiet. There's a little tiny bit of road noise, but it's pretty darn quiet. Kind of what you expect, for 60 grand. This is a quiet car, it's very smooth. That's the thing that I found about this car. I just find it very smooth. It doesn't float, it's not like it's like an old Cadillac floating along, but they've done the suspension so that the car floats a little. It doesn't transfer those, the bad road kind of bumps and potholes to you that much. It really, you can see here kind of on the undulation. I'm not sure the camera's going to pick it up, but I'm feeling it as a driver here. The car is kind of floating along, and it really gives you a nice, comfortable drive as you drive along in this car. The other thing this car has is start-stop. So I'm stopped at the stop sign. The engine's shut off now. I'm going to let go of the brake, make sure there's nobody coming. It starts up, and then away you go. So it does have the start-stop feature, which will save you a ton of fuel in the city if you're driving a lot or stop-and-go traffic. It doesn't work so great. None of these actually work that great in the winter because the car has to be warmed up. And I found on a super hot day, it's the same thing as a super cold day. It's smart enough to know that, okay, well, I need to run the air conditioning because the occupants are dying in here. So it'll start back up to run the air conditioning a bit. But if you put it in Eco Pro, I haven't really had a chance to try it on a hot day with stop-and-go traffic because I don't drive in stop-and-go traffic very often. But if you put it in Eco Pro, usually what happens is it'll tend towards economy rather than keeping your occupants nice and cozy. So might leave the engine off a little bit longer. There you have it. 2019 BMW GranCoupe. The one thing I did forget to mention, you probably saw it though, maybe you saw it, maybe you didn't. It doesn't have a window surround here. So that's interesting, right? Like, how often does that happen anymore? Put that down. You can see that. I actually don't drive with the windows down very often, but I noticed this pretty much right away, and it does stand out. It's pretty unique in that regard, and it's the same with the back windows. So that's a little bit unique. Thanks for watching my video. Hope you enjoyed it. Please do like and subscribe, and I'll bring you some more cars very shortly.